Welcome to Lifestyles of the Strange and Exotic, a Dolian Pad Plus update. Now, a couple of months ago, actually before that, I was looking into something that would have the potential to take credit cards, and you'd have the Intuit, and then you have the Square little card readers. But smartphones are just so freaking out of my budget, they're pretty much on the moon. So I was looking more into tablets, where you don't need the service plans and all that stuff. It's something you can have. You do still kind of need the Wi-Fi, because otherwise you can't download any apps or anything like that. But once the apps are in there, for the most part, if they don't require Wi-Fi, you can use it as a standalone item. And tablets would be more to do that than a smartphone. So after eons of research points to where I actually gave myself headaches in researching these things, I discovered the Idolian Pad Plus. And I didn't have, or still don't have, buttloads of money to drop on an iPad, which pretty much averages around $500–600. I mean, what does this thing open a portal to magical lands or something like that? I don't know. I just wanted basically that potential, and if it did other stuff, awesome. So, playing around on Amazon and comparing people's reviews and all that stuff, this one looked kind of fit my budget, and it did kind of what I expected it to do. Now, there had been, the swing in reviews was kind of wide, where people are like, oh my god, it's so wonderful, and then it's like, boy, this thing's a piece of crap, it came out of the box and I had to send it back. So I was kind of not quite sure what to expect. That's why in my previous vid, I went straight from the unboxing. That way, in case there was a problem, I could say, here's the video, straight out of the box, not 10 minutes from the mailbox. This is what it was, video proof that there's something going on here. But fortunately, that did not happen to me yet. So, because of those other views, I'm like, okay, trying to appreciate every single moment it still lives. So far, I haven't had, catastrophic problems, though I did have to reboot once, but it was for a problem that's actually an Android problem, and I'll get to that in a bit. Now, I have it sucking up juice as we speak, and this is the tablet, the Idolian Tablets for Everyone IdlePad Plus, and this is the 7-inch version, which is perfect because it's more portable than the giant TV screen of the 10-inch. I suppose if you have bad eyesight, the 10-inch is fine. The videos are just, just large enough that you can at least enjoy them, especially if you're on the go. It's not something that you need to put on a pedestal, and I don't know. But the 7-inch is like the Kindle size, standard ebook size. And I have now discovered why an external camera would be a really good idea on this. In my original video, I kind of said, why would you want an external camera if you're because the camera isn't, well, I consider this external because that's the outside, and this is internal because it's the side that's you're facing. So the camera is like an internal camera, the one that's facing you, because I'm figuring, well, if you're video chatting or whatever. Well, I've been doing just sort of quickie vids, as you can tell in my wonderful tablet vids, where you want to take pictures of the cats or something like that, an external one, or my quilts, something that you're trying to explain to people and it's not just you. So an external camera probably would have been a plus, but it's not something that's ooh, must have. But you work around it, and trying to figure out how to aim the other camera. And so far, so good. The major issues with this particular item isn't necessarily because of this particular item, it's more of the software. This runs Android 4.0. Yes, or 4.04. Beyond 4.0, basically. And I discovered, actually it was after I'd been to the hospital, actually, and was waiting in the waiting room and tried to connect to their Wi-Fi, which sucks beyond belief, that I ended up in the, I'm not quite sure if it's a bug or just a weird quirk, but a lot of people have experienced the same thing but on other devices, so it is an Android problem where you try to connect to the Wi-Fi and it goes, trying to obtain IP address, scanning, IP not found, and it will go through this in a loop a few times, then it goes avoided poor connection. You could literally be on top of your router and it will do the same thing. It's a bug. There is a fix more for like phones. It won't quite work on tablets because the way they explain it, it won't let you do anything in that particular menu. But I just went over to my router, hit reset, and so far I have not had that problem since. So it is an Android problem, and it seems to have happened since this last upgrade, maybe from 3 to 4. So it is a relatively new problem they haven't gotten around to doing anything about. So just reset your router first and see if that helps. I mean, that's what happened with my first reboot. And then with the reboots, if you get your apps on the Google Play Store, it'll acknowledge it. Or even through Amazon too, it'll acknowledge it as like a whole nother unit. So if I want like one of the Kindle books, it'll go, choose what unit you want to send it to. First tablet, second tablet, third tablet. I'm like, I only have one tablet. So be aware of that. And you can back up the memory in, I'm not sure about the data, I forgot, but there's a backup option, so if you do need a hard reboot, you can kind of like, reset it and introduce all the stuff back into it. And I don't know if this works with like every app type thing, where at least on the Google Play Store, it'll save the apps if you've downloaded them or delete them. At least you've purchased them, even though they were free. At least mine are all free. I haven't seen any that are worth like buying, but it'll keep them for you, so you can like uninstall it. Well, I still want that, so you reinstall it. So it's all there in your account, I guess you call it, right there waiting for you. And the ones that you have installed already are on like the top part of this page, and the ones you've uninstalled but still have are on the bottom part, which is good. And it'll tell you every now and again when to update. If not, I find it easier to update through the pad than it is through Google Play, but it'll tell you both ways that there's an update for that particular software. Usually a good thing, sometimes not. Depends on the app. So that was the biggest issue I found with the tablet. But like I said, it's an Android problem, not an Idolian. And I tried to make notes to... Okay. And the second sort of major issue that is more of an... Actually, I'm not quite sure if it's Idolian or Android, where it wants to like reboot spontaneously. And a couple of the reviews were like, oh, it wants to reboot all the time. Oh my god. I have come across that problem, but when I kind of analyzed what I was doing when this happened, it seems to happen more when you try to ask it to do too much too fast, when you're like just hitting buttons like you still have to let it, figure out what it's doing. It's basically what would happen on a regular computer when you have too many programs going, and then they all kind of go like, I don't want to do this now. So it's, don't make it do too much too fast. It's not that it won't process too many programs at one time, just give it enough time for the program to get up and running before you go back to the main menu and this, that, and the other thing. That seems to be when it happens the most. And I mean, it takes a few seconds to reboot. It's not like 10 million years or anything like that. And it's not like a continual boot. Hopefully it doesn't do that. So far, that's what's happened to me so far. It's just asking it to do too much too fast, and it goes, what? Reboot. I think we've all had that moment in our lives when it's like, too much too fast, reboot. So that is an issue. It's more of a quirk. So I still don't know if it's a hardware problem, but I'm still thinking it's more of an Android problem. One of the quirks in the software. Hopefully if they do have an update for Android, they'll maybe fix these things. So those are like the two main, quirks. Referring to notes. Okay. I've come across a few times where I've, installed my apps, and like I said in my original video, it was supposed to be a 4 gig hard drive basically, but I ended up with a 2, but I figured since I got a unit that didn't have problems, I wasn't going to, piss and moan about it, and, have them send me an actual piece of crap. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll deal with it since I plan on having an external card anyways. So I went from like a 4 to an 8 to a 32, but I have cameras that use the other cards, so it wasn't like they went to waste for nothing, So I figured, okay, just send everything to the TF. Well, they call it a TF card. And at first I'm like, okay, how am I supposed to get... at first I didn't know how to get things to the TF card. So I have talked to customer service a few times, and they did respond back relatively quickly and, answered my newbie questions. And, I haven't had a problem with them and haven't needed to discuss anything with them since. And I did tell them about the loop problem that, it seems, I told them that it was a problem. And they said, I don't know what the reply was, I forgot now. And then I did more research and found it was an Android problem, but I did give them a heads up about it anyway, so they are, or whoever person I contacted is aware. But I asked them, well, it's telling me send it to the TF card. What the hell is this thing, isn't it? And there's 3 different things for storage, as I had mentioned in the previous one. You have the internal storage, you have NAND flash, which... I'm still not quite... The NAND flash seems to be the hard drive. I have 2.6 gigs, so I have like over 2. But there's internal storage, which has 540 megabytes in it, total space. Either way, that still doesn't quite make 4. And then you have your TF card. The TF card is the SD card. Why they call it TF, I have no idea, but it's your external storage, and it's the mini mini USB, the mini SD cards. And you basically just go under apps, go down your list of apps, and then it'll go send to TF card, and it'll send it to your external hard drive. But when you do that, sometimes when you hit your apps in your main page, it'll say app not installed, and I'm like, that's bull. So sometimes, at first I'm like, well, fine, I'll just send it back to the tablet. But if you got like a huge thing, you might not want to do that. But I've also found, if you just hit it, wait a little bit, and hit it a few times, pausing in between, it will finally acknowledge that it's on the TF card. So that's just another little quirk. It's in there. It doesn't seem to happen as much if it's on the tablet memory. But, the stuff that you use the most, maybe you might want to keep on the tablet, but I try to shove as much stuff on the TF card as I can. So, I seem to be right there in the middle for my well, that's see, and this is, I'm under the apps now, I'm trying to like visualize, and it goes, internal storage, 245 megabytes used, 259 megabytes free. And that's downloaded. I don't want the Kindle one, okay. On TF card. Stop. Okay, TF card storage, 1.7 gig used, 398 megabytes free. That doesn't make sense either because it's a 32 gig card. No, I lied, it's a 16. So I can't quite guarantee that the accuracy of the storage information is accurate since it's telling me I only have 2 gig on the TF when it's a 16. So I don't know what the heck they're talking about as far as the memory is concerned. I mean, now I'm under the apps section itself. Even though in the previous menu, it told me that, or at least in the storage menu, it told me that I do have 11 gig left on the TF card. So there's an inconsistency in the menus regarding the information of the storage. So I'm going to at least, if I keep finding apps that I like, see what happens as far as under the TF menu, if it'll like stop, say you can't do anymore, or if it'll just keep going and register what I have on there. So there is another quirk here we've just discovered. Okay, I'm still not quite sure how long you're supposed to hold the start button. I mean, at least, on my Chinese, that's why I wish I could have used this for my tablet, but this was just a little too thick, because this came with my book reader there. It was just a Chinese, whatever the heck it was called. So I spiffified it up. And this is the one that I just got for my tablet, because I wanted it to be a stand too. Amazon, $8. Save your money. So when I turned this on, and people were complaining that, it takes so long to boot up. I'm like, life isn't instantaneous, is it? this takes quite a few seconds, maybe 10 seconds for it to say hello. So I wasn't all that bothered by when this took 5 seconds to, you know, do its thing. But I'm still not quite sure how long to hold it down to let it go to boot up. I know it sounds kind of weird because I keep holding that down until I see hello, which is what they tell you to do. With this, you can hold it down till you start seeing a little flicker in the screen, then it starts Idolian, and then the Julie Android robot thingy, I don't know. So, that I'm still not quite sure, and the directions are like, hold it down for a few seconds. I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, how long is too long? Is there too long? I don't know. But it turns on and off, but it's still kind of annoying. You're not quite sure. I'm trying to read my writing here. Oh, yes. This is still an electronic device, and this right here must be the hard drive, because this section right here does get rather hot. So usually when I'm charging it, I don't charge it in the case, and I try to keep it face down, so at least it keeps kind of cool. Otherwise it gets pretty warm. Not enough where you're like, oh my god, I burned myself, but your typical hard drive heating element type heat. So this does get kind of warm, so I might just kind of punch a few holes in the new tablet case here just to give it a little more airing. But the way this tablet case is, I'm not sure it'll matter one way or the other. So do be aware of that. Just I haven't heard any problems of it overheating or anything like that, but still, it's still basically a computer with a hard drive that gets hot. So be aware of that. I did find apps that are like virus protection. You're still going online and doing that, so you still want to have that software protection like you would on any regular computer. I have Avast that is more of a background thing. I don't see it on my pages here. Avast is protecting you. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, Avast Mobile Security. And there's different ones you can pay different prices for. It all depends what you want to do. And probably an app that kind of gives you a general idea as far as like battery saving or charging too. And I have Battery Dr. Saver. And if you keep it running when it's charging, it'll chirp when it's done charging, which is kind of a neat thing to have, but I haven't seen it, I haven't actually needed it for a while, so those are two kind of more convenient apps you might want to kind of look into, even in any type of tablet or device. Also, about the apps, it's not really a quirk or anything, it's just sort of a thing I just sort of accidentally discovered. I have all my apps separately, and then each page has a particular, type of apps, like games on one page, main apps on another page, miscellaneous on another page. But you can, I don't know if this is just a standard Android thing that people already know about, I don't know, but you can add, like, if you have like a bunch of calculators, you can add the apps on top of each other and put them in their own separate folder, so it can clear up your desktop, as it were. I, for one, am far too lazy to have to dig through all the folders, so I just add pages, because it's quicker to swipe the page and have them all instantaneously right there visually. But if you have buttloads of apps and you're running out of room, you can categorize them and be like a little circle, and you click the circle, and there'd be like a little mini page showing you what apps are in that folder. And supposedly you can name each particular folder, but I haven't quite figured out how to do that, and there's like nothing in the, translated booklet there that tells you anything about that. Like I said, that doesn't go into any finite detail, just sort of, this is how you turn it on, this is this is that, and the other thing. So that is kind of a neat little thing, but I, for one, didn't find it convenient, so. And another thing that I actually had to ask about was, not just how do you get your apps to the TF card, how do you get information at all to your TF card. Like, I like the random LOL cat, I am the crazy cat lady, but they store the pictures that you save onto the hard drive, and after a while they're going to add up. It's like, well, there's got to be a way to get it from the hard drive of the tablet to the card. Well, there's a few different ways you can do that. Hey, oh, also, you do have two different system updates. I have it set automatically, but there's your system update, which probably like updates Android and all that stuff, and then you have RK29 SDK system update, which I have no idea what it is. It's running Android 4.0.4. and this is right off the system. Now you can transfer data from computer to tablet with Magical Cord of Goodness. And with most modern computers, it'll acknowledge that it exists immediately. So you really don't have to go through anything. At first, I did ask them, well, there's got to be a way to do this because there's like pictures on the tablet that I would like to like get off the tablet onto the TF card at least, or at least into another storage device. And he's like, well, yeah, but there's different ways you can do this, yada, 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 yada. Alright, after just spending the last 5 minutes trying to find this menu, that's I'll put under quirk, where if you do that often, it's not in a convenient place. You would think it would be under storage or at least developer options. It's not. It's not in any of the main menus that you scroll down. It's way over in the corner on the top right. I'll back out of here for a sec. Regardless of what menu you're in, I don't know, but I'm in apps right now. It's right here, these 3 little dots, and it goes USB computer connection. So it's in a convenient place, but not in an instinctive place. So when you touch that, it'll give you 3 different options. I have it under mass storage, so that way I can see everything and move around everything, and it acts like a thumb drive. You have camera, and it goes camera, PTP. Lets you transfer photos using camera software and transfer any of the files on computers that don't support MTP. I have no idea what PTP, MPT, PMS, I have no idea. But that's mostly just, probably if you have like a picture, like Photoshop or something, you can take your pictures directly from the tablet to Photoshop. So you do have that option. And then you have Media Device, MTP. Lets you transfer files on Windows using Android File Transfer or using Android File Transfer on Mac. So I think it kind of sounds if you have a media, like video, audio editing software, it'll transfer directly to that. Having no need for those particular, specific programs, I keep it under mass storage. That way, if you've got either program, it's just easier to pluck what you want, put it where you want it. So you do have those options, but I haven't actually needed to go through this annoyingly hidden menu. It just plugs in, would you like to, whatever, open files, yes. And then you do the same exact thing. So, but still, not necessarily unplug it, but eject it from your computer before you do, like you do with any other thumb drive. So that was good and annoying at the same time. I mean, at least put it in a place where you can like instinctively find it, at least in the main menu, not way off in the corner here. Let's see if it's in the, nope, that is only under the apps menu, where it's hidden in the corner. So you will have to do some digging. It also has a function where you can install from the TF card. I'm not quite sure how that would work, because I'm not quite sure what programs you could install. I mean, I can see, it's not like you could run like Sims or some like Windows-based program, I'm pretty sure. So I'm not quite sure why you would install an app from your TF card. But there is that, option. Install certificates from TF card. And this is under security, location services. Also, you have your TF card, and you can either erase it from your tablet, which I wouldn't personally recommend. I'd actually want to know what I'm erasing. And if you want to, change out your TF card or SD card, which the rest of the world calls it, you have to unmount it, and there is a plot. You can't unmount it, and there's a spot right here under storage that allows you to do that. It does use data. I don't keep it on mobile data because I have no plan or anything like that. I go strictly off of Wi-Fi, which works for me. With my retail app that I use, that's why I have stuff I'm transferring data and all that stuff. That I can do what I need to do and not have to be online right then and there. I can go back to my Wi-Fi hub, and then it'll transfer what I need to transfer right then and there. So I don't need even if I needed like credit cards, it would still do the same thing. I don't need it right then and there. And I would think they'd be a lot more expensive in the long run too. But you do have that option. It will run, I want to say, what, 3D? What the hell is it? I have no smartphone, so I have no idea what the hell the thing is called here. You go, this is under data usage, more, mobile network settings. You can data enable it, data roaming enable it. I'm not sure what access point names. And it goes, you can use only 2G networks, and that will save the battery. Probably takes up more juice than the 3G. I have absolutely no idea what that means, but that is an option that you can have with this particular tablet. And the final thing, I'm still not quite sure if this is an issue or isn't an issue. The fact that I really just don't want to have to suck up my battery. There's still that debate where if you have a live wallpaper. Now, I just kind of changed my beautiful wallpaper to like a Planescape and all that stuff, and it's a static wallpaper where it's just a picture in the background. That way, you know, you're not like distracted as you're doing different apps. But there's something called live wallpaper where your wallpaper moves. Now, I would think it would take up more memory, and I might have mentioned this in my previous video. So, probably the more complicated the background is, the more battery it might take. So just kind of keep an eye on that, and that's one good reason to have like a battery saver or battery, you know, information app, because the one that's kind of on the tablet itself is kind of, you have to go through all this stuff to kind of get to it, and it's not really informative, it's not easy to kind of understand. So, you know, just kind of keep an eye open for that, you know. They're really cool though, because I had one that had like, you know, graves and like the moon, and it would change the weather and stuff like that. But it's also kind of distracting, like I kind of just mentioned. So I'm more than happy with a really cool static background. Usually end up in like a spacescape for some weird reason. So that's as much as I can think of. It's the first video when I literally had only had it maybe a couple of days, and I had, you know, played with it and did stuff, that and the other thing. So now I've had it since at least the middle of July. Maybe beginning of August, but probably like since the middle of July, and this is with fairly constant use. It comes with me everywhere, I don't know. So I've gotten to know a lot more of the quirks and what it does and what it doesn't do, and I have listened to other people who've had, you know, like I do listen to the reviews, so wasn't quite sure if I would have a problem when it opened, so I was like really happy about, you know, I don't see any lost pixels, and people had problems with like not doing anything, so whew, I kind of got lucky, I guess. So that's why I'm kind of always hesitant about buying electronics through the internet. I'd actually like to see it and then actually go to the place saying, hey, what the hell? So I guess the return policy seems to be okay, I don't know. But so far so good, especially when I can't just drop hundreds of dollars. Oh, if this is broken, I'll just buy a new one, like certain relatives I have. So, great little tablet if you don't have the buttloads of money to spend on the fancy, you know, Acers and whatever fancy brands they have nowadays. It does what it does. The Amazon Kindle app is free. There's different readers that'll run the PDF. Well, there was a PDF reader already installed, but that one I think kind of worked, but the EPUB file folders, the program doesn't work, and I explained that in the first video. So there are other readers that will read that, and I have Cool Reader, which reads it fine, and I like the app the way it looks. It's not hard to read, where it's not like a glaring background. It's like almost like a parchment. There's pedometers that I use. Pandora app is free. Well, like I said, all the apps I get are free. And most of them are only like $1 or something like that, but I'm like, well, if I don't know, a lot of times, like the Facebook app and the Twitter app aren't compatible, and I haven't quite understood why, but that's not an Idolian issue, that's more the programmer's problem that they don't do that, because I actually asked why are some compatible and some aren't. It's the programmers, not the hardware. Camera could be a little better, that's more of a, I can't remember what megapixels it is. It's Better than my phone, but not as good as my camera. You've got plenty of music players, video players. I have downloaded Firefox. That's a free app. I prefer Firefox over any other browser because it's that much quicker. Just different little calculators. I have something called Freenote, where you can write, you know, in your own penmanship a note and stuff, which I have found useful actually. And it's its own little page there. Might change the size of it though, but that's just a nice little convenient toy to have. Different games. And there's some really good games that are free. I've got a pinball game and Jules Legend I just downloaded. Different space apps. Different language apps. I have, you know, learning Klingon. And you know, just go in the Play Store and happily type in whatever you're interested in, and a lot of apps are free and they're really good apps. Sometimes I'm like, wow. So that's as far as I can figure that, you know, quirks and stuff. So if you have any other questions or any other things you've experienced or problems you might have had that you might want me to look into or whatever, comment down below and I'll see if I can help you. And thank you for watching my previous vid. I'm glad it helped, because I, for one, when I was researching tablets, that's one of the sources of information. I wanted to see an actual tablet in somebody's hand, and there was only like 2 or 3 of them. So I wanted at least to give a little more info out there. So I'm glad people are finding it helpful and useful. And comment, rate, subscribe, and I shall see you all in my next video.